Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Doncast. Today is a very special episode because we're going to be talking Lost Thunder, the biggest set in TCG history. We're not going to go through every card, don't worry. We're not going to be here for another 3 hours. We're going to do it nice and quick, talk about the deck archetypes and the interesting cards. But before we get into that, say hello to Al and Ian, who are joining us today. Al, guys, say hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Hey guys.
And Jacob is also planning on being here. He got caught up at work. He's a little bit late. So at some point, Jacob might just jump into the podcast. If he doesn't make it, I'm afraid you'll just need to wait till next week to see Jacob.
All the Jacob fans are turning off right now.
That's exactly, man. Gary is raging. So, yeah. Honestly, guys, I'm not even gonna delay this any longer. We need to jump straight into this because there is so much to cover. The first deck we need to talk about, and probably the most hyped deck coming out of this, is Lost March. Now, I will be putting some deck previews on the screen. This one is courtesy of Rare Candy TCG, Rare Candy on YouTube. Very, very good channel. They've done some previews of this deck and they've done a couple of battles. And guys, I am hyped for Lost March. I'm feeling it. I think it's going to be one of the best decks we can possibly play, especially budget-wise. I mean, it ticks all the boxes for me.
Yeah. I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, obviously it's Night March 2.0, and look how good Night March was and still is. And
Of course.
cases.
So,
I'm going to be contrary.
all right.
I don't think Lost March is going to take majors.
You think? Nah.
I don't think.
So for the people that
strong and it'll win some things, but I don't think it's going to be the deck to beat.
for the people that don't know, Night March was a deck that came out in the X and Y block, and it basically did more damage for your Night March Pokemon in the discard pile. This is kind of similar. It's called Lost March, and it'll do more damage for each Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Now, we have lots of ways of setting this up within the deck itself. So the main line in this deck is Hoppip, Skiploom, and Jumpluff that can be seen here on the screen. And basically the Hoppips come with 30 or 40 HP, depending on what attack you want to have. You evolve up into Skiploom, and Skiploom's ability says, once during your turn you may search your deck for a Jumpluff, then put this Pokemon, all cards attached to it, into the Lost Zone, and then the chosen Jumpluff goes to where this Pokemon used to be. The wording is really weird on this. So, for example, if Skiploom is in your active, Jumpluff is now your new active Pokemon, and everything, Skiploom, Hoppip, any energy, anything attached to it goes into the Lost Zone. Jumpluff has, for 1 grass energy, Lost March 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each Pokemon in your Lost Zone, excluding Prism Stars. We also have a Natu, which is 40 HP and will do the same attack for double colourless. And we have Trumbeak as well, that we don't play any of the Picky Pecks or the Toucannon. It's Trumbeak all on its own. Trumbeak with possibly, it's such a unique Pokemon because it's a stage 1 that you just play from hand. You just play it. Like, there's no evolving. It's not an evolution ability, it's a hand ability, which we never really have in Pokemon. And basically, you put it in your Lost Zone and you get to look at the top cards of your opponent's deck. If it's a supporter card, you may, I think, put it in the Lost Zone. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
do you know, low level, that Trumbeak is also slightly, maybe a counter for some of the Macargo stuff that's going on?
possibly.
Just as a thought.
He's a good tool for like slow decks or stall decks.
There's also one more Lost Zone card that isn't mentioned in this Pokemon card, at least, and that is Spinarak, Spider Vanishing for a grass. It's not in this deck by Rare Candy, and I don't think it'll see a lot of play, but it's possible. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralysed and poisoned. Then put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone, but it does cost a grass energy to use, and I think that's the reason it's not going to see a lot of play, because you're essentially wasting a grass energy if you use this. But
Yeah, it's more efficient to just.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not terrible.
So yeah, that was Lost March in a nutshell. There is some trainer cards and stuff like that go with it to make it a little bit better. Lost Mixer being one of them, and that is on your screen right now. Put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone. and then draw one card from your deck. It's really, really just perfect in setting this deck up, because you can throw in Lele's, if you play Orang Guru, a spare jump bluff, you can just toss it all into the Lost Zone. But really, really hyped for this deck, man. I think this deck is going to be a whole lot of fun, and is one of these nice budget decks that's totally self-inclusive within a set. So you can just really buy out one set, and then all you need to get is a couple of Lele's and some supporters and stuff like that. You've got a deck. I mean, it's interesting at least.
I'm with you in a lot of ways. I think it could be really good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play as well. What I do worry about though is if it's going to run out of steam. That's the thing.
Well,
you're
yeah.
putting these Pokemon into the Lost Zone. Jumpluff's got 70 HP, Natu's got 40 HP. You have to assume they go down every turn.
Yep, you do.
So what happens if you prize a Jumpluff and you can't get out of your prizes, and your Hoppips are in the Lost Zone anyway? I think it's going to be so fun, but I just worry about it's kind of late game.
For me, go on out.
The plan is to take 3 GX knockouts.
Yes.
But it's not like this is Night March, where it's the only deck that isn't using GX attackers.
Well, there is that as well.
That's the key, isn't it?
Small attackers and could just outlast you because there's no way to get your jump blocks back.
I think the theory is, well, you could get a jump bluff back with Rescue Stretcher. However, you could only ever get 4 total. So if there's a jump bluff prized, you can play a Rescue Stretcher to use the jump bluff. But you couldn't ever get more than 4 in play. You can get more than, you can get extra Natu though, and I think that's the line you kind of have to focus on as well, is taking the big knockouts with Natu, savouring your jump bluffs, and then using them when you really want that big knockout. Do you know what I mean?
Jump bluff as soon as possible.
You want all of it as soon as possible, to be fair.
Which is where where Professor Bridget comes in really handy in this deck, because the Skiplums are 60 HP.
Professor Bridget, for anyone who isn't aware, is Professor Elm's new theory. I think it's called.
That's not his right name, though.
What's it called?
Lecture.
Professor Elm's lecture. Whatever it's called. Basically, it's Bridget, but it's to the hand. You get 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less. So you can get Hoppips, you can get Natus, but you can also get Skiploom, because that does have 60 HP. Because it doesn't specify basic. I just said basic with word salad coming out of my mouth, but
Bridget.
Because Bridget, exactly. But
It's not Bridget.
It's interesting.
It's really good for this deck, and it's really good for stage 2 decks with a lot of 60-point Pokemon that they want to evolve from. But it's not quite as good for things like Zoroark or other things that want to put Dancing Prison Star down.
Well, yeah. It's not bad. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the trainers and stuff. But another deck I wanted to talk about was Sceptile GX. Now, I don't have a deck list for this. I've not managed to find one just yet, but we do have the Sceptile from the last set that goes well with it. Immune from Ultra Beast attacks and all that sort of stuff. Sceptile's a nice card, man. For 1 grass energy, Mac Cut's going to do 60 damage and discard a special energy from your opponent's active. For 2 grass energy, 130, and move 1 grass Pokemon from one of your Pokemon, from this Pokemon to one of your benched Pokemon. And then Jungle Heal all damage from all of your Pokemon with grass energy. GX. That's amazing. Like that, I really like this energy. It sounds a lot like the old Mega Scizor deck, so really, really nice. And plus, Grovyle is beautiful as well, because Grovyle, once during your turn, you may search your deck for 1 grass Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand. So essentially, you get all your Tricos down with good old Professor Bridget, pop them all down on the bench, start to get your Grovyles, and if you evolve into 1 Grovyle, you search out another Grovyle, search out another Grovyle, get all your Grovyles out, and then suddenly, the turn after that, you're just ready to evolve into all the Sceptiles because you use Grovyle's ability again. The thing works, it churns itself out. It's 1 energy attachment, 2 for the big attack, you're 2-shotting, you're healing. It does everything all on its own, and I think it's worthy of like this deck archetype spot because of that. I think it's such a really cool idea, and something that could really, if you're not expecting it, could very, very, very well win tournaments.
I'm
There was
with you.
one from the Champions League Tokyo that came in 4th place. That was a little Executor with like one.
Yes,
Sceptile GX.
that was
Yeah,
on
it was
Limitless, wasn't it?
2-2-1-1 they played.
I will bounce onto Limitless right now and I'll try and find it.
Because like both Sceptiles really hate everything that's meta right now. They hate special energy,
Yep,
they hate Lycanroc, and they hate Ultra Beasts.
you're right. And
And they're Leaf Cyclone's 130, so it's one shot in Baby Buzz.
yep,
Yeah.
and it's only 2
They don't
energy.
do anything to you anyway.
It's only 2 energy. This deck played. This was more of an Alolan Executor deck. It played a 2-2-1-1 line of the Treecode Grovyle Sceptile, but the Grovyle in this deck can't be slept on because you grab a Alolan Executor with it as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, like
consistency.
The deck is getting you like Shuckles and Lurantises.
Yep.
To
It's
power up your Executors with.
definitely a deck that we should be considering at least. I think straight Sceptile could be amazing. Alolan Executor's obviously a really good play with it. Alolan Executor is one of those cards that on paper looks awful, but then when you start actually using it, you're like, wow, this is actually hitting a lot of damage and it's got a lot of HP as well. And
Yeah.
I definitely will be trying out this deck. That looks awesome.
It'll be a lot of fun to play, and the trainers that we're getting, we'll talk about them later, obviously, that provide grass support
Yep.
are going to just put it over the top in some ways.
I definitely agree.
But the one thing I just kind of want to say to you guys and see what you think, how instructive is Japan for what our meta is going to be after Lost Thunder? Because I'll mention the Champions League there, and if you look at the Champions League, Lost March wasn't in top 8, or I don't even think it made top 32.
One. It was like
Was there one?
22nd place.
That, well,
Yeah.
there you go. I mean,
One at
Sceptile-
22nd, Jim.
Sceptile was like 4th place, but it wasn't a Sceptile deck, and I didn't see any pure Sceptile lists.
It's really true, but I think this was a new format for them as well, or like newish format for them. So I wouldn't expect to see like one deck dominate something like this. It's always going to be a bit of a spread. However, it was, as far as I was aware, it was a deck that was really hyped. Was Lost March.
Definitely,
but then nobody seemed to really play it at the Japanese tournament, and it was like, okay, I think everybody went, that sounds good, what else is there? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can definitely see, both decks taking tournaments at some point, but definitely like Japan must be a pretty decent indicator now that they're on our same format and they get everything earlier.
It's just this interesting thought.
Like
course.
America, where they play things differently, and they don't have the stall decks that people in Europe like to play.
You're definitely right, although Shuckle did see a little bit of play. Next deck we're going to talk about is Mag Cargo, straight Mag Cargo, with this new Mag Cargo GX. Now, it will also be noted there's now an 80 HP Slugma, which is awesome. And Mag Cargo GX really going to synergize with the old Mag Cargo that we have, the smooth over one, to put any card that you want to the top of your deck. Bear in mind that when I'm reading out this Pokemon. So its ability, Crash Charge. Once during your turn you may discard the top card of your deck, and if that card has a basic energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. Then Lava Flow for 3 energy, 2 fire, 1 colorless, although it'll probably be all fire. Discard any amount of basic energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 50 more damage for each card discarded in that way. And then Magma Burn GX, discard the top 5 of your cards of your opponent's deck for 1 fire. Now, all of that sounds amazing to me. And it does highlight another card that we haven't yet spoke about, we'll speak about later on in the video, is Ditto Prism Star. And low-key, that is probably the best card from the set if you're putting in early bets.
I'm with you on the Ditto Prism Star. I'm not with you on the Cargo GX.
Really?
I just don't think it's that good.
Not feeling it?
No, I think the ability is really cool, and yeah, you can pair it with Baby Macargo, and that makes it a bit more interesting, but you need to discard 3 fire energy, and a choice band gets you to 180. you're not one-shotting Zoroarks, and you're not even
3. If you discard 3 fire energy, it's 50 plus.
Oh, excuse
so
me.
it'll be
Sorry,
200.
plus. Sorry, I was thinking 50 times. Actually, yeah, that's better than I thought. I thought it
Yeah,
was
so
50
you would need
times.
to do 180. You want to discard 2 fire energy from this Pokemon. So basically, to do 180 damage, you use the ability one time,
Yeah.
from itself, and then you attach from hand,
Attach from hand.
and you're doing
Yeah,
180 damage with a choice band.
That makes it a lot better. I missed the plus sign. I thought it was a times.
No, it's. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a good deck. I don't think it's going to be top tier. I could be completely wrong, but I feel as if you're talking about running out of steam. I really think this runs out of steam, pardon the pun, because as soon as you start knocking out Slugmas in the early game, you've already hindered it. Yes, it gets 4 Slugmas and it gets 1 Ditto Prism, but as soon as you start knocking out a couple of Slugmas early game, this deck's going to suffer.
Kiawe.
Whoa, there he is. Whoa. Kiawe, this deck plays a 3 of Kiawe, the one that I'm actually looking at, so yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Jacob.
I've been sitting silently for about 5 minutes now, waiting for my moment. And I thought, sorry to interrupt. Can I possibly ask where you are currently reading from? I've got Lost Thunder set open.
Yeah, we're going to my Cargo GX. If you pop onto Discord, I've put up a list of the stuff we're going to be talking about, and we're currently at my Cargo GX. So you've only missed the first couple of deck lists.
Oh, nice, thank you.
That's alright. So now that we have the band back together, my Cargo GX, we're all kind of wavering on it. I think it's decent. I actually think it's quite good, but
It is quite good. It gets Mallow. Anything that gets used Mallow is a good card, as we've learned.
It also has, I can't remember the full name of the card, but Rescue Stretcher for Energy.
energy recycling system.
That's the one. So that gives it a little bit of flexibility, I suppose, where you can shuffle them back in,
Of
or
course.
you can get the one into your hand for the attachment. I guess that helps it out a lot as well.
Well, the good thing is that it's like scalable, and you can just discard like 1 or 2.
It's infinite
and
damage.
take non-GX knockouts.
It's
You can
total.
just do 100 or just
It's
do
totally
100.
endless damage. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is essentially like as long as you can attach the energy, it is as much damage as you like. You can abuse things like energy switch and as you say, energy recycling system. Kiawe, Victini Prism is a card. 2 fire energy 20 times, and then you count up the amount of energy in your discard pile and shuffle it all back in. So Victini Prism Star's great in this match because you're going to be discarding a lot of fire energy. Heat Factory Prism Star is a card that we'll talk about later, and it is a Prism Star Stadium, one of Stadium, that you can discard a fire energy and draw 3 cards. So it's going to increase the flow of your deck a lot. But as I say, recycling the cards is definitely important, and I just don't know if we've got it. But
What's quite interesting here is that we're talking about this attack discarding all of the energy off to do big damage and things like that, and the next deck that we're going to talk about is essentially the same strategy,
yes,
but it's
better.
just so much better. It's a shame that Macargo's outclassed in its own set.
If that's ever a segue to talk about the next deck, I think we should go straight onto it. The next deck is Blacephalon GX, and this right here is the card I think is going to break this set. Not this card, this deck, because Blacephalon with the new Naganadel I think is going to be busted good. It is so powerful. 180 damage, 180 HP. Sorry, fire type Pokemon. Blacephalon GX, 1 fire burst burner. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and burned, so nothing too crazy. And then Startle Head, 50 times. You may put as many energy from your Pokemon in play to the Lost Zone. This attack does 50 damage for each card put in play, put in the Lost Zone in that way. So basically, you need to get as many fire energy onto the board as possible, and then you just pick it off and blast your opponent. And then Burst GX, discard one of your prizes. If it's an energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. So it's take a prize. If it's a fire energy, put it into play. If it's not a fire energy, you just discard it. Card's busted.
It's insane. I mean, it's been dominating Japan, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's done well in Japan.
It's terrific. Its first attack, the Burning Confusion, is so nice on a one energy attachment basic Pokemon. You can use it going first, get some early damage down. If they're playing a basic, it's confused. They have to find a way to switch, whether that's Guzma and they're using Supporter for the turn.
Yep.
Never mind the second attack, which is just ridiculous. But the thing that I love about this, and the thing I think makes it so much better than Macargo, is that it's got flexibility because you're playing it with Baby Naganadel.
Yeah, and Baby Naganedel's not an attacker to be slept on.
Exactly.
Quickly, we'll talk about that. Its ability allows you to take an energy from the discard pile and put it onto Naganadel, and for 3 colourless energy, 80 damage if your opponent has 3 prizes remaining, or if you have 3 prizes remaining, one of the two.
If you have 3 prizes.
If you have 3 prizes remaining, it does 160 damage.
Yeah, it's not quite as good as Sledgehammer because you can't repeat it if you're taking knockouts.
True.
But it's still really good.
And it's a great counter for Buzzwole as well. Assuming you play Choice Band, this list that I'm looking at doesn't play Choice Band. But I guess there's always Beast Energy. You can just one-shot a Buzzwole GX with this thing.
It does so much damage, you don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly it. But I think if you're relying on getting that turn with there's actually 2 Blacephalon lists on this page because it did so well. It won at like Masters and Juniors or something like that, or Juniors and Seniors, and one of the lists does play Choice Band, and you just know putting 3 energy on one of these Naganedel's not going to be hard because you do it every turn, and then you just drop a Choice Band, Guzma, knock out a Buzzwole. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is like, whoa, okay. 160 damage is a lot of damage as well. And there's also another trainer in this list that I'll quickly mention is Spell Tag. And they were using that to get around things that have awkward HP numbers for them. So something like a Tapu Lele, you discard or you remove 3 of your energy to the Lost Zone, you do 150. But then if they knock you out, Spell Tag allows you to put 4 damage counters wherever you want. So, I mean, that's really good. Just knock out the Tapu Lele, knock out something here. It's just such a good deck, man.
It's kind of pick your poison between Spell Tag and Choice Band, or I suppose you could play a combination.
Of course,
if you wanted to, but yeah, it's just ridiculous, and you're not worried about things like Hoopa, for example, like Shining Legends Hoopa or a Baby Ninetales, because you've got a built-in answer for it already.
Yep.
Or a little bit worried about Baby Sceptile, though.
That's very true, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Sceptile showing its ugly mug once again. Although you could go around Sceptile by just trying to slam it with Lele, trying to like 2-shot it with Lele or something like that. That's really the only way you're going to get around it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I mean, you could put a fair whack of energy on the Lele and just go in with it, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Right out of that Kiawe.
Kiawe to Lele and respond.
Could the argument be made though that Macargo's slightly better because you can at least recycle the energy? Because with Blacephalon, you're putting it into Lost, so it's gone.
It is true that you can recycle the energy in Malamar. That is.
Yeah, it's just run 16 energy.
This one does have 16 energy, yeah. But the thing with my cargo is the setup. That's the only thing you're going to struggle to do, because you need to set up several stage 1s to start to make the deck really, really go. Whereas Blacephalon, yes, you need to set up several Naganadel, but just attaching, like, for a couple of turns in a row, like, you're going to be able to do reasonable damage with Blacephalon anyway. And even if you have the Kiawe, do you know what I mean? Like,
if you just confuse the other Pokemon, that in itself can buy you a turn or two.
Like, if you're going first, you attach Fire Energy, and then your second turn you attach Beast Energy, Beast Energy, and a Choice Band. You're doing like 110 damage straight off the bat. And also, one card that we didn't mention there was Beast Ring, because all of this stuff loves a Beast Ring as well.
That's very, very true.
So that's another up it's got on my cargo, is just take a Beast Ring turn and just win the game.
I totally forgot about the Beast Ring tournament.
Because it
deck
is an
as well.
Ultra Beast.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? It's too good.
Honestly, both decks are good. Both Magcargo and Blacephalon are good. I think it just depends on what you pull. What do you pull?
Well, if anyone wants to trade Magcargos
For Blacephalon, I'm in as well.
I might be cool for that.
The next deck on our
of course
list.
you would, because you don't like winning.
The next deck on our
No.
list is Zeraora GX. Before these guys rip each other in two, we have an 190 HP basic. It's already sounding pretty good. Thunderclap Zone is the ability for each of your Pokemon with any lightning energy attached. No retreat. I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty good card. And then Plasma Fist for 160. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn, but you've got free retreat, so does that really matter? And then for 1 lightning, Full Voltage GX, attach 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile to any Pokemon you like. So, we have Darkrai EX's ability from the Black and White era. We have Buzzwole GX's attack. And then we have Turtonator GX's GX attack. All on one Pokemon. How can this not be good?
It's weak to fighting.
Well, there is that. But, I mean... Oh, God, it's... Nah, I don't even think that matters. You've got the Thunder Mountain Stadium as well, that you can reduce that energy cost by 1 lightning. So you're down to 2 energy for it to attack. And then you also have Electrolyzer, what's it called? Electric Power. The thing that you play one of, and it increases your damage done by 30 for the whole turn for your electric Pokemon. So this thing can do more damage than a Buzzwole. You play one of them or a Choice Band and it knocks it out. Yeah.
There you go.
It's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's got...
Do you know
It's got so
Sorry,
much
go
going.
ahead.
I was just going to say it's got so much going for it.
the only thing that scares me about this is going back to what we mentioned earlier. Japan has had this card and it's nowhere to be seen.
It
Why?
done not too bad. It's something.
Because Buzzwole is still.
Buzzwole's still a thing. That's exactly
People
it.
still play Zoroark though, and Zoroark dies just the same as this does. The Sledgehammer.
Maybe this needs a bit of tweaking. Maybe this needs something like what's that card? Weakness policy. The deck I'm looking at right now doesn't
Zoroark
actually
decks are already running weakness policy.
exactly, and it's
That's true.
helping them counter Buzzwole very very well. With just 1 or 2 weakness policy, and maybe that's all that something like this needs. There is also a promo Zeraora in here. I'm not sure where that's from. It's the only time I've seen it. It looks like 20 for a colourless, and then lightning colourless 120, and then it probably says something like discard an energy. I can't read it. It's also in Japanese, which doesn't help. But just by the kind of spacing of it, it looks like it might be discard a lightning energy, but it's very very low quality, so I can't really tell what it says. And this deck also plays the Shining Legends Raikou, which has the same attack as the old Eviltal. So this is essentially like an old Darkrai deck come to life, but in Lightning type. It's really, really strange how they've done this.
I really like that this the kind of big basics again sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about Darkrai and stuff like that, and obviously Volcanion back in the day, these kind of
Yeah.
things. I guess just the speed that these things can get going
Definitely.
perhaps gives it a bit of an advantage. I mean, this deck would love Max Elixir,
Oh, of course it would, yeah, definitely.
so it's
One-
a shame that we don't have that.
It is playing Tapu Koko GX as well, which I've just watched a video from PTCG Radio, who said that Tapu Koko GX just went and won a tournament in Japan. It was Tapu Koko Naganadel. And that sounds absolutely fantastic. Now that,
That does sound pretty good.
when you start to think about it together, it sounds amazing because you play things like Acerola, it played Choice Helmet to reduce 30 damage from EX and GX Pokemon, and Aether Paradise Conservation Area to give it another 30 HP.
Ooh.
So you're up to 230 HP on a Tapu Koko. So maybe it's not Zeraora we should be looking at in this deck. It should maybe be that one-off Tapu Koko GX that this guy's teched in. Now, that's maybe a video for another day, but I mean, I don't know.
Fun idea.
It's definitely something I would keep my eye on though, is Zeraora GX. The last card I want to talk about in this deck preview session would be the Tyranitar GX. Now, maybe it's not so much of a deck in and of itself, but I feel as if it's got 1 or 2 points missing that could just make it busted. It has a great little evolution line in the Larvitar for a double colourless energy, second strike, 10+. If your opponent has 3 or more damage counters, or if your opponent's active Pokemon has 3 or more damage counters on it, this attack does 70 more damage. So if you're tapping it with something, which we'll see later, that this could be quite good. It's also got another basic Larvitar that, while it's on your bench, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. That could be very good. Then the Pupitar that you evolve it into, when you evolve it up, it gets an extra... Oh, hold on. Once you're on your turn, when you play this from your Pokemon in your hand, to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability until your end of the opponent's turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's attacks. I thought it was reduced by 50. So maybe I've got the translation wrong.
The translation I've got says you may choose to have any damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's attacks reduced by 50.
Right, well this... I'm looking at Limitless, and they reckon it's prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's attacks.
Okay.
Either way,
Fair enough.
still very, very good. And then the Tyranitar GX, the star of the show, lost out. If your opponent's Pokemon are knocked out by damage from this Pokemon's attacks, put all Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone. That already is very, very powerful, just that ability in and of itself, if you can take some knockouts. And I think you can. So for 130 damage, it's dark colorless. If this was dark double colorless, it would be freaking amazing. But if we ever get a way just to reduce the energy cost on that, or speed it up in some easy to do way, this could be busted good. 130 damage, and this attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon, setting up that Larvitar to do 80 damage as well. And then Smackdown GX, 220 damage, not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. 220, absolutely good, like fantastic number, and to not be affected by any effects is fantastic as well. I think it's missing like 1 or 2 little tiny points, and then it's going to be freaking busted. Is it just me?
Yes, apparently.
I don't know, man. I really rate this card. I think it's putting your opponent's Pokemon on a Lost Zone for a start so that they can't get them back. Imagine doing something like, so we were talking about Malamar earlier and how easily like swayed it would be if it lost a couple of Slugma. Imagine if those Slugma went to the Lost Zone rather than going to the discard pile. Then it's never coming back with Rescue Stretcher. There's no way of getting it back. Same in like Malamar decks and stuff like that. Like, you really disrupt stuff by getting rid of a couple of Inkays with this attack.
I'm definitely with you. The thing that scares me about it is it's a stage 2.
Yeah, of course.
Which means it's going to be that little bit slower. Buzzwall's still going to be a thing.
Of course.
Buzzwall can deal with this really easily. 130 is it's fine, and 30 damage to the bench is amazing, obviously, to each of the bench. But 130, okay, Choice Band gets you to 160. You need to find another 10 damage. Maybe that's Devoured Field, or it's Kukui, or whatever it is. But at that point, you're only hitting the Lele for knockout, or maybe some of the lower HP GX.
My thinking behind it though is, right, if this thing attacks, right, and does 30 damage to each of the bench, even if it fails to take a knockout, it's got 250 HP. If you're not playing against Buzzwole, there's a good chance it stays around. You then attack again, and if you've managed to do 60 damage to each bench, you don't need another Tyranitar, because the Larvitar's doing like 80 damage.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way.
Do you know what I mean?
Deck.
And then
I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
The Larvitars then become one prizers, and they're doing enough damage, 80 plus 60 plus 30 for Choice Band. Plus that's a fighting type Larvitar, so you could even use Diancie Prism. And then Larvitar becomes like the one prize attacker. You would only need to attack essentially with one Tyranitar, not just like Darkrai, Tyranitar, but if it was dark double colorless, it would be perfect.
Yeah, I would be with you there.
I would
Dark
be
double
so
colourless.
up for this card if it was dark double colorless. They've screwed us.
Could you maybe run it with oh no wait.
If you say
counter-
Kiawe,
counter-
I swear.
was
to
gonna
God.
Rainbow Birch.
No. I was going to say counter energy, but that doesn't count on GXs, does it?
There is actually a card. Hold on. I'm not 100% sure in the wording of it whether it affects GXs, and that's counter gain. Yeah, as long as you have more prizes remaining than your opponent, the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to is one colorless less. So you could, if you were behind on prizes, use counter gain and do the attack for 2 dark energy, which is better.
That's an interesting strategy.
Obviously you lose the ability to choice band. However, as I mentioned earlier, like, I don't rate choice band in this because I think you're going for more of a 2-shot and trying to really get that spread damage up so that your Larvitars can start taking knockouts. Maybe it's not the best way to go, but yeah.
I think I would be more excited about it if it was just bench Pokemon, but it's not. It's bench basic Pokemon. So
Of course,
you're relying on them either not evolving in time or playing only basics.
Yeah, of course.
So do you know what I mean? So if you could do the bench damage regardless of stage, then I think it would be amazing.
Of
But-
course,
That's a
bench
really good
basics.
point.
That is a very good point. It's something. It's just so close to being good. It's just so close to being good.
And Tyranitar's just a cool Pokemon anyway, so you want him to be good.
You do want him to be good. Maybe I'm stretching a little bit on that one then. Gonna go into just some of the interesting cards. None of these, well, maybe 1 or 2 of them are decks in and of itself, but for the most part, they're just nice cards. Ian, tell us about the Shuckles. Tell us about Shuckle and Shuckle GX.
So we've got a pair of Shuckles coming, and Shuckle, just to start out, is cool. I mean, how can you not like Shuckle? I think that is so cute. It's so awesome, and I know Al's super excited about Shuckle as well. So feel free to jump in at any point. Baby Shuckle. So he's basic grass type, 60 HP. He has the awesomely named ability Juice Extractor. So once during your turn for your attack, obviously, when you play this card from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and discard them, then shuffle your deck. So it's essentially Battle Compressor for energy, or for basic energy rather, on the ability. His attack for a grass energy drink, attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. So even the attack isn't too bad as like a kind of way to accelerate.
In grass decks, yeah, definitely great.
Yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with using it for that, but the way that I'm definitely thinking about playing it, and Al, I know you're thinking the same thing, is pairing it with a Alolan Executor.
Of course.
You know, you bench 2 of these, you've got all the energy in the discard you need to get Alolan Executor's damage up, and if you go first, then you get your Executes out, and then on turn, you go your second turn, evolve up to Executor, play a couple of these, and you're swinging for 120 off the bat on a 160 HP Pokemon. It's ridiculous, and it's a 1 prizer as well, obviously.
I'm not even sure you need to bench 2 of these in a Alolan Executor. Alolan Executor's been doing fine at getting the energy into the discard all on its own.
Yeah,
but if you were to,
Ultra Ball 2 energy to
exactly, this is what I'm exactly going to say. Ultra Ball 2 energy to get the Shuckle, and then there's 5 energy in there.
You're probably playing Oricorio in there as well, like Professor's Letter Oricorio,
Yeah.
to get the 2 energy into your hand, so then you get the Ultra Ball. Plus that means you're thinning your deck so quickly, so you're going to draw into those Guzmas and things like that. I think it's going to be a really, really good wee deck.
Just the card in and of itself is fantastic, and even in something like a Malamar deck, where you
Exactly.
really want your basic energy in the discard, if you're struggling to do that, like, it plays so many ball cards anyway. Maybe sticking in a Shuckle isn't the worst case scenario, because at that point, if you've struggled to get the energy into the discard, you can just Ultra Ball Shuckle, boom. We've seen Daniel Altavilla just won regionals. Where was it? Memphis.
Memphis, yeah.
And he played Oricorio for the sole purpose of going Oricorio, Ultra Ball, discard 2 energy. So you cut out the middleman by just dropping Shuckle and dropping up to 3 basic energy cards. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's really, really good.
It's such a versatile card when you look at it that way, and it's one that I'm super excited to play, I have to say.
You can shuckle those fire energies into your discard, suckle them out with the Magneto.
Of course you can.
Yeah, there you go. There's another use for it.
Because
it's going to be
basic.
Versatile tortoise slug thing.
and he only retreats for 1, so you can even put an escape board on him.
Whoop. Great card, man.
The Shuckle GX, the Daddy Shuckle, Big Shuckle, he's depending on how you look at it. I personally don't think he's better, but he's very, very different. So it depends how you're looking at it. He's a basic Pokemon. He's a grass type. He's got 170 HP, pretty standard for a kind of basic GX. Maybe a little bit in the low side when you compare it to Buzzwole or whatever, but fair enough. His ability, Protective Pot, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon with 2 or less energy attached to them. We'll come back to that in a wee second. His attacks are both for a single colourless energy, triple poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, put 3 damage counters on instead of 1 between turns, and his GX attack is Wrap GX, 40 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralysed. You're playing this for the ability, aren't you?
It's a gross card, man.
It's just, you play it with hammers, you play it with Skull Grunt, you play it with whatever else.
This is stall in and of itself. Every card, every ability, every move on that is just pure, unadulterated, gross AF stall. The idea of even putting 3 damage counter on for poison, like, assuming they don't retreat, you go 3, back to your turn is 6, and then back to their turn is 9. But even then, you would use Wrap GX as well, so you would be able to add another 40. You're adding up so much damage so quickly, and you're going to steal turns. You're going to get rid of energies. You're going to just really, really hate playing against this deck. And I actually,
a couple of Save Vipers,
of course,
boost the poison damage.
I actually seen, going back to the Lost March deck profile, they actually were running a one-of super boost energy in there because of the Shuckle matchup. Everything in Lost March attacks for 1 energy, so the idea of Shuckle popping up would be brutal. You would have to attach a double colourless and a grass to a jump bluff to get it to attack. So they ran one-of super boost because the idea is you're going to have many jump bluff out. They are obviously still a stage 2. Although this is something I did think about, and going completely off topic, but if you were to try and devolve that stage 2, you couldn't. If you were to try,
because it's not an evolved Pokemon.
It's not an evolved Pokemon, but it's still a stage 2.
It's an evolution Pokemon.
Yeah, because we've seen the same thing with Greninja decks back in the day. The Frogadiers that came in through water duplicates couldn't be devolved, and it's the same kind of idea. But they still do count as a stage. I thought they wouldn't count as a stage 2 because of that, but they do still count as a stage 2 because people have been playing it in Japan.
Fair enough. That's a really clever retake, though, isn't it?
A one-off super boost, because super boost, it will just count as a regular grass energy for a stage 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, really, really cool little tech, and it's all because of the Shuckle card. Expect to see it. There's going to be one guy at your league that plays it, and you're going to hate him.
Absolutely. This is definitely going to see some play, and I think it's going to be a really good wee deck. It's a good kind of stall deck, I suppose, or denial.
I don't agree.
I think it has more character and more kind of class than Sylveon.
The thing about Shuckle GX is that his ability prevents all damage, but it doesn't do anything about effects. So if you're in the Shuckle mirror...
Oh god. No, don't say that. Oh my god, don't say that. I think I just vomited in my mouth a little bit when you said those words, man. That was disgusting. Shuckle mirror. Oh.
You can play Acerola. You can play Max Potion potentially here.
And that is it for this week, guys. This is the biggest set they've ever released, and we do not have enough time to do the entire set in one video. It's absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I stopped recording for some reason. We won't go into that. So we'll wrap it up here. Next week we'll come back with the second half of the set. We will also talk about all the important trainer cards from the set, and we'll also had our first pre-release by that point, so that we'll be able to talk about all the interesting cards we pulled. Jacob will be able to tell you about the 19 rainbows he managed to get from 4 packs, and Al will tell us how even in pre-release decks with 40 cards he still managed to win with a hand size of 35. So I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll let you I'll say goodbye for now. I'll let Ian wrap it up, and we will see you next week.
Right, guys. Obviously, I'm going to win pre-release. That's all I was trying to say.
It is possible, you know.
I've
You
got
have
a
4
title cup
prizes,
hold.
1 unknown and active.
I think we cut it there.
Just come
Please stop! Please stop!